Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're dealing with missed mortgage payments in Florida, you already know the clock is ticking loud. Today, we're breaking down the step-by-step reality of Florida's foreclosure process and exactly how you can regain control before the court makes the decisions for you.
Okay, let's jump right into our roadmap. We're covering the pre-foreclosure warning signs, Florida's specific timeline, real options to save your equity, the direct cash sale path, and critical mistakes to avoid.
So, let's start with the big looming question. What actually happens when that foreclosure clock runs out? We're talking about that critical window between your very first missed payment and a court-ordered sale. It's a surprisingly short window, but, and here's the good news, it's also the exact time where you have the absolute most control over your financial future. You just have to act.
Section 1. The Pre-Foreclosure Warning Signs. When hope is not a plan.
We've got to look at those early warning signs. You know, they often seem incredibly small at first, right? But they snowball fast, especially for property owners in places like Largo, Harbor Bluffs, or Ridgecrest. You miss one payment and bam, late fees hit. Then the phone starts ringing more. Next thing you know, an official default letter is sitting in your mailbox. The absolute key takeaway here, ignoring these signs, just kind of hoping a job loss or an unexpected medical bill is a temporary blip, well, it only makes the problem way more expensive. Hope is a vital human emotion, absolutely, but it is definitely not a financial strategy.
Moving into Section 2, Florida's Foreclosure Timeline Explained, the Judicial Foreclosure Countdown.
Now, because Florida handles foreclosures through the court system, the timeline can honestly feel pretty long, until suddenly it's not. Look at days 1 through 30. That's your first missed payment and late fees. Fast forward to day 90. The delinquency is reported and you get that notice of default. But here's the absolutely critical threshold. Day 120. Federal rules actually force lenders to wait 120 days before they can legally file a foreclosure lawsuit. It acts like a shield, sure, but the second that specific clock runs out, the lawsuit drops.
And the immediate fallout of that lawsuit? It's called a lis pendens. That's Latin for pending lawsuit. Once this formal notice hits the public record at the county clerk, your situation is basically visible to the whole world, flashing like a neon sign. What happens next? Title companies immediately flag the property. And those traditional retail buyers who, let's face it, absolutely hate the headache of unresolved lawsuits, they just vanish from your buyer pool.
Then you're hit with the number 20. After the lawsuit is filed and you're officially served that complaint, you have a strict 20-day deadline to file a written answer. Guys, this is a hard legal deadline, not a friendly guideline. If you miss this 20-day window, the lender can go straight for a default judgment against you, which fast-tracks the complete loss of your home. It's a real game changer.
Section 3. Real options to save equity. Catching up versus cashing out. So the clock is ticking, right? What are your actual, realistic paths forward to protect whatever equity you have before an auction date is locked in? Well, lender workouts like a loan modification or forbearance are great if you're just dealing with a short-term hardship. But honestly, they take weeks or months and the stress level is pretty high. A short sale? That can drag on forever with really low certainty. But if you're facing a permanent setback, a direct cash sale is often the way to go. It offers the highest certainty, the lowest stress, and lets you close in as little as 7 to 10 days, completely skipping the hassle of repairs. Which brings us to Section 4, the direct cash sale path. Speed, certainty, and skipping repairs.
You might be wondering, how does a direct cash sale actually bypass all those traditional real estate hurdles? Well, the mechanics are surprisingly simple. Step 1, you just provide your address and some basic property details. Step 2, there's a quick property review, usually takes just a day or two. Step 3, you get a fair cash offer and a straightforward agreement. And finally, Step 4, you pick your closing date. A licensed title and escrow company handles all those messy payoffs and liens behind the scenes. It literally empowers you to move fast and close in just a week or so, completely avoiding all those frustrating lender hoops.
To really put this into perspective, think about a traditional finance sale. You're stuck doing expensive repairs, staging the house, paying hefty agent commissions, and then just crossing your fingers that a retail buyer's bank actually approves their loan. It's a lot. Direct cash sales completely strip all of that away. Because cash buyers are usually investors willing to take on the renovation burden themselves, you sell the properties strictly as is. You skip all the repairs, you pay zero agent fees, and there's no risk of a loan falling through at the last minute. For distressed landlords or folks stuck with an unwanted inherited property, it's just a clean, incredibly fast exit.
And finally, Section 5, Critical Pre-Foreclosure Mistakes. errors that accelerate the process.
Before we wrap up this explainer, we absolutely have to talk about the pitfalls, the mistakes that can accidentally fast-track you straight to the courthouse steps. Look, it is incredibly common to just ignore lender mail because, let's be honest, opening it is stressful. Or maybe you assume you have plenty of time just because an auction date isn't officially set yet. Huge mistake. Also, don't fall into the trap of draining your remaining cash on home repairs when a direct sale lets you skip them entirely. And a quick word on bankruptcy, it only pauses the foreclosure case. It does not magically erase the underlying debt. But the biggest misstep of the whole shebang, letting the case drift to a public auction. That will absolutely trash your credit score for 7 long years.
It really all boils down to this. The biggest mistake you can make is just waiting. Every single week of delay means more fees piling up, less equity in your pocket, and fewer paths out of the mess. Timing your action absolutely matters here. The pre-foreclosure window abruptly slams shut the moment an auction begins. So, stepping up and acting early, that is literally the only way to preserve your equity and keep your options wide open.
So, I'll leave you with this to chew on. Are you going to sit back and let the court dictate your timeline and your financial health? Or are you going to take the wheel before that clock runs out? Review your options, stop playing the waiting game, and take control of your property's future today. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and remember to stay focused out there.